Super Bowl Sunday. It is 2 o'clock as I record this. Super Bowl starts at 5:30 Central Time. And I decided, instead of doing any type of Super Bowl content, let's do a reaction to Mel Kiper Jr.'s NFL Mock Draft 1.0. So, we're rocking with it. We're seeing how it goes. Mel Kiper Jr., I would say, is one of the most controversial NFL draft analysts, if not the most controversial. In the past, I've heavily criticized, critiqued, and disagreed with plenty of opinions, but, you know, it's the NFL draft. People are not going to agree universally across the board, and it's a crapshoot at the end of the day because the best college player could not work out in the NFL for one reason or another, and same thing, a maybe bad prospect could end up becoming a superstar with the right coaching and development. So, we will be taking a look at Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft. If I have to say something about the Super Bowl, first thing, I'll be doing a post-Super Bowl mock draft, and that is either going to be late tonight or tomorrow on Monday as I record this, the 8th of February. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not subscribed already so you don't miss out on that. And I think that the Chiefs will win ultimately. However, you could sell me on the Bucs too. No Eric Fisher. Starting left tackle, torn Achilles. Patrick Mahomes was nursing an injured foot in the rest of the playoffs. Could hurt mobility, especially if that pressure starts to come in. Shaq Barrett against a backup left tackle could be a nightmare for Kansas City. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is so amazing against the blitz. We'll have to see. Should be a really entertaining game. I hope the Chiefs don't win by, like, 2 scores, and same for the Bucs. You could sell me on the Bucs too. I think the injury is the biggest thing. Healthy Eric Fisher, I'm taking the Chiefs comfortably. With the Bucs, like potentially getting some major pass rush after him with no Eric Fisher, I think it could be a really good game. I could see the Bucs taking it. Final score prediction is Chiefs 31, Bucs 28. I'm going to say it comes down to a field goal. But, yeah, that's not this video. Most of you don't care about my Super Bowl prediction. It's a crapshoot anyway. But we're going to take a look at the mock draft. Trevor Lawrence, number 1. That's fair. That's, like, pretty much always what we're going to see. Trevor Lawrence, number 1. Let me raise this just slightly. I don't really have much to say about this. I can't really give you too much analysis because this is the same pick that we're going to see every time. It's the best player in the draft. It's the only clear pick in the draft right now. Is no doubt Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 overall. Jets at number 2, Devante Smith. This one right off the bat, I kind of hate for the Jets. Like, yeah, wide receiver is a pretty important position, especially for a team that really doesn't have a defined number 1. And Devante Smith could be that true number 1 receiver. However, the Jets have more pressing needs. In my opinion, quarterback, if you think Sam Darnold's getting traded, it's got to be a QB here. And if Sam Darnold somehow sticks around, you go receiver at the top of the second round, maybe even later in the first round with the Seahawks pick. I don't think you take one at number 2 overall, regardless of the player available. I think you have to go offensive line here. If you think Penei Sewell could be this generational player on the other side of Mekhi Becton or next to Mekhi Becton if you view him as a guard, you take Penei Sewell. So I don't love Devante Smith here. I think he's a really good player. I don't think you go Devante Smith at 2, though. I don't think he's a top 2 player in the draft. And the Jets, who really could use best player available, I don't love it. Jamar Chase goes to the Dolphins. The Dolphins also have pressing needs, but I think their lineup and their roster is more assembled than what the Jets have. So wide receiver doesn't bother me as much at 3 as it does at number 2 for the Jets. For the Dolphins, I think their team is pretty well put together. Their offensive line is not perfect. I could see this being Penei Sewell as well. Jamar Chase makes sense to me. Number 4, Zack Wilson. I think he's the second best quarterback of the class. I like this for the Falcons. So many people disagree with this. They're like, oh, man, Matt Ryan. Coaching staff has said they love Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is 36 in this offseason. He is eligible to essentially be cut after this next season for a very small cap penalty as opposed to what it would be right now. They have an opt-out, the Atlanta Falcons do, to get rid of Matt Ryan and rock with a future franchise QB. When are you going to be picking top 5 again? Does the best defensive player you can draft at this particular spot really impact your team that positively long term? And the answer probably is no. Zack Wilson or any quarterback has to be the pick here for the Falcons. Like, I could go on about this all day, but you are picking in the top 5 of the draft in a strong quarterback class with the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th best quarterback still on the board. Whoever that might be. The best defensive player does not alter your team too much long term, but the best quarterback that you can take very well could. And you're not drafting for just this next season. This is not a Madden franchise. You are drafting for the next 4-5 years plus. Anytime you take a draft pick in the NFL, and Zack Wilson would be a pick for the future and a good one at that. This should not be defense, in my opinion. Number 5, Bengals go Sewell. Easy pick if he's available. Offensive line in general. Got to protect Joe Burrow. I like it for the Bengals. Number 6, Jalen Waddle. As much as I would hate it as a huge Jalen Waddle fan and major Eagle hater, I think this would be a phenomenal pick for them. They need someone that can separate. And I talked about Jalen Hurts in my last video. Jalen Hurts, I don't know what the misconception is with how well he played. Like, yeah, you can make excuses for the situation because it's a really bad situation. He was also not good. You can say both are fine. That doesn't mean Jalen Hurts won't be a good player. Jalen Hurts was not good last year. He had one good game. I think the perception is that Jalen Hurts had one bad game. This is not true at all. Jalen Hurts had one game where he played well. Let's look at it. I would also like to say I'm not some major Jalen Hurts hater. I'm just going to say let's take things with a grain of salt right now. He's only played really in 5 career games. Let's not get too crazy about how great Jalen Hurts played last year. Like, yeah, excuses we can make. Bad situation thrown in there. Not ideal at all. But Jalen Hurts' performance was super poor. Like, if you look at his average yards per attempt, his only good game, you could say, was against the Cardinals, whose defense is not anything to write home about at all. Average yards per attempt over 9. Great game, 338 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, he was 24 of 44. Completion percentage was just under 55%, which is brutally bad, right, if you're just going to look at completion percentage. But it seems like he was pretty effective on a yards per attempt basis. That was, what, 7.68 yards per attempt, but 9.05 adjusted yards per attempt, which is more what I'm looking at. Jalen Hurts had one good game. The rest, don't look at touchdown interception ratio. That's not good. That's ignoring how good they were and just looking at traditional stats to further your argument. Now, box score watching is not great either, right? When you look at these games and you look at his adjusted yards per attempt, you look at how effective he was as a passer in general. I think quarterback rating is actually pretty good, even if passer rating has its problems. Jalen Hurts was not very good. He had, in my opinion, one good game. And even though he didn't have a great completion percentage that game, I think he was pretty effective with the football. And that, tells you, you look at yards per attempt, and then you see a great touchdown interception ratio. The rest of the games were not particularly good. So let's not get crazy with overrating what Jalen Hurts is right now. Please, take it down a notch. Doesn't mean he can't be good. He wasn't good, though. So I needed to get that off my chest because I said it in my video yesterday about how Jalen Hurts was not good, and I got everyone, oh, what do you mean he wasn't good? He was great. And I'm like, slow your roll. Anyway, Jalen Waddle, great pick. Justin Fields at 7. This one is kind of outdated now that the Lions have traded Matthew Stafford. But the Lions could, in theory, still go quarterback. They pretty much have an opt-out with Jared Goff after 2022. So if you want to sit Justin Fields for a year behind Goff as he learns the system, maybe even 2, and then throw him in there in 2023, or say, hey, Justin Fields can be better than Jared Goff, which I agree with. He definitely has the potential to be better than Jared Goff, who's not anything special. Taking a quarterback at number 7, I wouldn't hate, even after the Stafford trade. However, it seems like they wanted to trade for Jared Goff and they believe in him. So I think quarterback becomes a lot more unlikely here. I think you probably go with either the best receiver available. So, I mean, there aren't really any of the top 3. I think offensive line could be in play, but more likely this has to be a defender, and that could be Micah Parsons. It could be even Kwity Paye this high. It could be Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain. I think this probably has to be the best defensive player available right now. based on the way the board has kind of come together. Panthers go Trey Lance. I like it. Potential future franchise quarterback. Maybe isn't ready to go right away, but you got your big-time bridge quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. Sit Trey Lance for a year or two, and then cut ties with Teddy. There's an opt-out in that contract as well for the Panthers. I like taking a future franchise guy. I'm a big Trey Lance guy. I think this quarterback class is really good. Trey Lance fits. Micah Parsons fits with the Broncos as well. It's unknown what his role is going to be in the NFL just yet. Kind of depends on the team that takes him. I like a fit with Vic Fangio's defense, though. You're looking at an attacking 3-4. I think Micah Parsons fits that pretty well as someone that can alternate off the edge and playing inside backer as well. There are some potential off-the-field things with him that we don't really know the validity of at the moment. So I've seen him drop super far in mock drafts. I've seen him up in the top 10. So he's still a really good player. Athletic ceiling is unbelievable. He's just a phenomenal athlete. He's able to do things that a lot of guys just simply cannot do. And he's going to get taken highly because of that, you know, without any of the off-the-field stuff taken into consideration. And it's not just potential hazing. It's like sexual assault is what some of the allegations are. And that's different than just regular hazing. So a team can get by on hazing. But when you're talking about sexual assault, which is what the rumors are, I think that could definitely drop him a lot more if something ends up happening with that. But we don't know yet. So Micah Parsons top 10 is fine. Broncos could use an inside linebacker if that's how they view Micah Parsons. And his versatility, I think, is pretty great for Vic Fangio's attacking 3-4. Cowboys take Rashawn Slater. Seen a lot of Cowboys fans being like, who's going to play DB? And that's a solid thing to say. However, Tyron Smith hasn't played a healthy season in how long? Connor Williams is not going to be there at left guard. Rashawn Slater, potential future franchise left tackle or starting guard right away. So I don't hate it for the Cowboys. They need to replace left guard anyway, and they might need to replace left tackle in the near future with Tyron Smith. So I really don't hate this, but with two of the top corners on the board, definitely have to consider Surtain and Farley as well. New York Giants take Kyle Pitts. I'm a Giants fan. I don't hate it, honestly. I think he's such a dynamic, versatile playmaker that you don't look at the position and go, oh, we had Pro Bowl Evan Ingram, who sucks. Evan Ingram's good because he separates, and he's bad because he doesn't catch. That's the big problem with Evan Ingram. Kyle Pitts is not someone that is just an inline tight end. This is someone that can play on the outside as an outside receiver. This can be your X-type player, but he can move around. I think you can play him, line him up in the slot as well. Kyle Pitts is a refined route runner, a really, really good, non-traditional, non-typical tight end. He's atypical for the position for sure, and you don't classify him as a tight end. You just call him an offensive weapon. He can block. He's not elite at blocking, but he's fine, which is more than you can say for Evan Ingram when he came into the league. Evan Ingram was not a good blocker, but then developed into being an okay blocker. Kyle Pitts is already immediately better than Evan Ingram, and you can play him in a number of different spots. So I think that's a decent pick for the Giants. 49ers go Surtain. This one, easy pick as well. Definitely could see this happening. They need corner pretty badly. Jason Verrett, Richard Sherman, free agents. Cornerback is a huge position of need. And apparently, Ahkello Witherspoon's a free agent as well. I did not know that. So there you go. Chargers go Christian Darrisaw, future franchise left tackle. Got to protect Justin Herbert. I like it. Elijah Vera Tucker to the Vikings. I like him more as a guard than a tackle, but this works for the Vikings as well, who always need offensive line help. Patriots go Mac Jones. I think that there's any team that can develop Mac Jones, it's the Patriots. Put him right in the scheme for success, and that's exactly what the Patriots have. He's going to play the Tom Brady role. His post-snap processing is pretty good. I think he's got solid traits as a leader, and that was shown at the Senior Bowl. I think Mac Jones could be okay. And for the Patriots, I think this would be the ideal fit to make Mac Jones the next Tom Brady, as much of a stretch as that seems to be in my head at this moment. I don't hate it. I think wide receivers in play. I think if the right linebacker's available, that's in play. But I don't hate Mac Jones there with Kyle Pitts off the board, with the top three receivers off the board. I think that's fine. Cardinals go Caleb Farley. This one is pretty easy fit as well. Drake Kirkpatrick should be gone. He's bad. Patrick Peterson's declined pretty rapidly and is also a free agent. You need someone on the other side of Byron Murphy. And Byron Murphy, I kind of view as more of a slot guy anyway. I think I don't know, they have such a versatile secondary with Budda Baker, who can be like a slot hybrid linebacker at times. But yeah, Caleb Farley's boundary corner, and you really don't have a great option with the boundary right now in the Arizona secondary. Jalen Phillips to the Raiders. I like Jalen Phillips a lot as a player. I think injury concerns kind of bring him back. But Jalen Phillips is an easy top 15 player in the class for me just based off tape alone. And you got to value that. The Raiders, who could use a pass rusher on the outside, despite Cleveland Ferrell coming along a little bit. He was pretty good last year, in my opinion, despite what the sack numbers show. And then Max Crosby, we like. But Jalen Phillips is another rotational guy. I think he's a starting 4-3 defensive end immediately and is a really, really solid option. I like Jalen Phillips a ton. I think he's my edge one. I've said that. I'm going to stand by it. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to the Dolphins. Pretty good fit here as well. You get a good cover linebacker, and the Dolphins could use that very easily. Very easily there. Kadarius Toney to football team. They could use a separator, especially someone that could be a slot weapon like Kadarius Toney. Good fit with Terry McLaurin. I like that for the Washington football team. Bears go Tevin Jenkins. Well, their offensive line is pretty poor. Looks like they might make a trade for Carson Wentz. We've yet to see the validity of those claims, but Tevin Jenkins fits. Offensive tackle. Bears need offensive tackle pretty badly, in my opinion. I don't like Charles Leno at all. I don't like Jermaine Ifedi. I don't like Bobby Massey, who I think is still there. Like, tackle's a pretty poor position. If you bring in Tevin Jenkins, could be your potential franchise left, or probably even more likely right tackle with Tevin Jenkins. But Indianapolis Colts go Kwity Paye. I think this is a good scheme fit for them. I like Kwity Paye to the Colts. He's a big-bodied, probable 4-3 defensive end. I think he's going to be a super nice fit next to DeForest Buckner. I like the Indianapolis Colts defensive line on the interior. It's time they get more weapons on the edge, and I think Paye fits the scheme so well. Rousseau to the Titans. This one, I don't know about. The Titans, in my opinion, are more of a win-now team than someone that would develop a player like Gregory Rousseau, who I have my big questions about right out of the gate. But Rousseau has sky-high potential. I don't think he's a great scheme fit for the Titans, because I'm not sure he's a 3-4 defensive end. I think he's probably more likely a 4-3 defensive end with interior versatility. Now, you talk about the versatility of a 3-4 defensive front. Rousseau can move around the defensive line. I don't think he's a starting 3-4 defensive end. I don't think he has the athleticism. Despite having great length, I don't think he has the speed, the burst, or the movement skills in space to play 3-4 outside linebacker. So if a team like the Titans takes Rousseau, I'm not sure what his role is going to be. It seems like just a rotational pass rusher. And to take a player like that in the first round, I don't think the fit works here. Jets go J.C. Horn. That's fine. J.C. Horn, physical press man corner. Talked about him a lot. Jets need help in the secondary, and they need help in general. The Jets are pretty much best player available like every time they're picking for the most part. Like, you really can't hate on anything the Jets would do. If they take offensive line, fine. If they take receiver, fine. If they take running back, fine. If they take secondary, fine. If they take linebacker, okay, that works. Defensive line. Like, you don't really hate anything the Jets do unless they take maybe a defensive tackle high. But other than that, I think every single position's on the board. I think the Titans could take edge rusher, going back up to them. I think they definitely could. But I think it's more of a traditional, like, 3-4 guy, like Azeez Ojulari, Joseph Osai. I don't think it's Rousseau. I just want to go back to that quickly. Could even be like Zaven Collins would work better. He is an inside linebacker, and he's a damn good one. He's 6'4", 260, moves like he's a lot lighter. Really amazing athlete. He has outside flexibility as a pass rusher as well. Zaven Collins is incredible. I think his best fit is probably as an outside linebacker, strong side, playing the Sam role, where he can occasionally rush the passer but drop back into coverage. Zaven Collins is a really, really good player. The fit for the Steelers is interesting. I think we saw this in, was it Lance Zierlein's mock draft as well? I don't think it's the most amazing fit, but you're taking maybe the best player on the board. His versatility is amazing. You're going to find a way to utilize a good player. So I don't hate it. Jags go Christian Barmore, first D tackle off the board. They could use the position pretty well. So I think this is a fine pick. Not anything crazy. Aaron Robinson to the Browns. You're playing him probably at nickel corner with who you have here. Now, Aaron Robinson also showcased he can be a boundary guy very easily, right? But he lined up in the slot pretty often for UCF and was really good. He also showcased some impressive ability at the Senior Bowl. The Browns certainly could take a versatile defensive back. I see him more as a slot corner just because we've seen him in that role at UCF. However, I think the ability to play on the boundaries there. I don't mind the versatile corner pick. Terrace Marshall, the Ravens. I think this is a pretty easy scheme fit. I'd probably like to see Rashad Bateman go before Terrace Marshall just because I think he's a better player. But Terrace Marshall is probably a little bit better of an athlete. And I think he fits the Ravens pretty well. But I just like someone more like Bateman on this team because Rashad Bateman's a more easy separator, whereas Terrace Marshall I view as more of a deep threat, maybe even a rack guy. But I don't hate it. I think they could use a stud receiver on that team. They don't really have it. Trayvon Merrig to the Saints. This is a tough call because the Saints are like negative 90 mil projected in cap space. Even with a restructured Drew Brees deal, would bring them down about 20 mil, it's being reported, and that would put them still at around negative 80, negative 75 million in projected cap space. They're losing maybe Marcus Williams, Trey Hendrickson. They're losing a lot. So the Saints really could go any position. I don't know that safety is the most important. I probably look to go receiver, maybe even quarterback, but especially linebacker and defensive end before I take a safety. Maybe even corner for the Saints. Packers go Tyson Campbell. They could use an outside boundary corner. Tyson Campbell, this is probably about his range as early as I could see him going. Maybe he could climb up a little bit more, like near top 20 because of athleticism. But the Packers need corner really, really badly. It's pretty apparent that there's nothing else there besides Jair Alexander. Bills go Najee Harris. I think Zerline had this as well. I just don't like the running back play for the Bills. Like, yeah, Devin Singletary can be used in some other different areas of the game. Zach Moss doesn't matter at this point. But I just feel like the Bills have more pressing needs with Matt Milano, outside linebacker, going to free agency. Darrell Williams, John Feliciano, right guard, right tackle, headed to free agency. They need a boundary corner. They need to potentially replace those positions they're losing. I don't love running back in the first round. But Najee Harris is the one to take if you have to take a running back. I love him. RB1 for sure. Joe Tryon of the Bucks. This one is a player that seems like guys in the NFL are super high on. I watched Joe Tryon. I think he's a pretty good player. I don't think I'm going to give him a first-round grade, but you have a lot of athletic upside as well. So you get him with the right coaching staff, he could be a stud. You know, we know how that works. And with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've got a knack for developing pass rushers over the past, decade plus. So Joe Tryon could be a really good fit. And then the projected Super Bowl winner, Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll see what happens today. Take Azeez Ojulari, 3-4 defensive end. This worked pretty well in my opinion. Frank Clark was not particularly great this past year. And Tano Passanio is not this unbelievable player. I could definitely see them taking an edge rusher. For me, the Chiefs is basically best player available. I'd rather see them take a linebacker because I think that's a weaker position for them. A weaker group. Their LB core is just not particularly great. But I do like Azeez Ojulari. I think this could be just best player available for the Chiefs. So, again, don't hate it. But that is going to do it for me. Mel Kiper mock draft final grade. I'd give it a B+. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. I mean, it's a mock draft in February. It's before free agency. We don't really know what's going to happen. I just feel like some of the scheme fits are not incredible, but I also love some of them. I don't really think this is a bad mock draft at all. B+, A-, something like that. Maybe even an A. I'm anywhere in that range. I think this one is pretty good. I don't have a ton of complaints. I know everyone's going to hate what their team did because they want a different player. I get it, but I don't really think this one's that bad. So, shout out Mel Kiper Jr. Hopefully, only time you hear me say that. My bias that I hate Mel Kiper. No. This one's pretty good, though. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
I hit it at the park, bend bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah, promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah, yeah. I'ma turn taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speed burst good.